I remember the taste of icing that night more vividly than the cake itself. Too sweet, too cold. It was supposed to be my birthday. 13 candles flickered, melting wax into the frosting as laughter echoed from the other room, and it wasn't mine. My mother's laugh had a sharp edge I'd never heard before, and my father's voice was softer, almost playful, like a stranger wearing his tone. Their best friend, Uncle Sammy, poured another drink, and I could hear the sound of glasses clinking while I sat alone on the staircase, holding a paper crown that kept slipping off my head. I waited for them to call me back. They didn't. I heard my name only once that night, followed by a sigh, almost irritated. Somewhere between those muffled laughs and that silence, something in me changed. The night I turned 13, my childhood quietly ended. By morning my parents were fighting so softly it was worse than shouting. My mother wouldn't look at me. My father left for work early. I didn't understand the details then, but children feel energy before they learn language. And what I felt was betrayal breathing between the walls. Over the next few months, the warm parts of our house disappeared. The smell of tea in the morning changed into cold coffee left on counters. The living room became a museum of silence. I tried fixing things the only way I knew how: obedience. I got perfect grades, washed dishes before being asked, smiled when my mother cried at night, pretending it was allergies. At 14, I started tutoring neighborhood kids after school, earning Rs. 2,500 a month. Every rupee went into groceries so Mom wouldn't have to ask Dad for help. He still sent money, sometimes, but it came with insults. I caught a few of his calls, the way he said, "You wouldn't last a day without me." He always made her small. She stopped wearing bright colors after that. The red shawl she loved stayed folded in a drawer. By 16, I'd become the adult in the house. Bills, doctor visits, repairs. My mother's health was declining from stress, and I worked part-time at a stationery shop for Rs. 6,000 more so we could survive. I skipped my college prep classes because she needed me home. That year I got a scholarship letter from a university in Karachi. I never told her. I couldn't leave her alone. I watched my future shrink into a wallet, thin, worn, full of receipts for things a responsible child shouldn't have to buy. Then came the pattern. My father dropping by once a month, pretending normalcy. The same perfume lingering on his clothes that wasn't hers. The unexplained withdrawals. The new phone he hid from sight. I tried not to see it, but truth has a smell: thick, bitter, unmistakable. One evening, when I was 17, I caught the final confirmation. A message popped on his screen as he handed me the phone to order food. "Miss you last night." My throat closed, but I smiled and passed it back. I said nothing. That night I overheard him call her. My mother was asleep, medicine on her nightstand. He whispered promises that used to belong to her. I wanted to scream, to wake her, to burn the house down. But I just sat by the window watching streetlights blink, feeling the last piece of childhood dissolve like sugar in hot tea. 2 weeks later, my mother discovered the same truth and shattered. Broken frame, broken dishes, broken voice. She begged him to choose family. He walked out for good. By 20, I was working full-time at a digital agency, earning Rs. 45,000 a month. Enough to survive, not enough to heal. My mother sank deeper into depression, and occasionally he'd send small transfers with notes like for medicine. That wasn't generosity. It was guilt. Then news came that he'd remarried quietly to her. Aunt Sarah, the same woman who'd laughed in our kitchen when I turned 13. The betrayal felt circular, like time had mocked us. Still, I told myself to stay civil. Anger burns energy I needed for survival. I focused on work, saved every rupee, and enrolled Mom in therapy. We slowly built fragile peace until 3 years later, another storm arrived. I received a notice in the mail: property sale documents. My father had sold the old family flat, the one still legally half in my mother's name, without telling us. He forged her signature using scanned copies of old documents. The proceeds, almost Rs. 3.7 million, were transferred to a joint account under his and his new wife's names. I read that paper 10 times, blood roaring in my ears. Something inside me clicked from grief to calculation. That night, I didn't cry. I printed everything. I backed up copies. I started studying the law. During lunch breaks, I visited legal aid centers pretending it was content research. Within 2 months, I knew more about spousal fraud than I ever wanted to. I filed quiet complaints. I recorded calls. I tracked transactions he thought no one noticed. Through a trusted lawyer friend, I set up an independent petition claiming rightful ownership from my mother. I moved strategically, no confrontation, no drama, only patience. He still called sometimes, pretending affection, making small talk. I let him. Every conversation was a recording now. Each smile in those calls was documentation. 6 months later, my case was ready. Evidence stacked neatly like decades of suppressed truth. The day I revealed it was poetic, his birthday. A family dinner he'd organized at a restaurant, acting generous, inviting relatives to display reconciliation. My mother didn't want to go, but I insisted quietly. She thought I was chasing closure. I was, but not the kind she imagined. When toasts began, I stood slowly, raised my glass, and said I had prepared a short gift. I connected my phone to the projector. A PDF opened on the big screen: ownership deeds, bank receipts, digital signatures, timestamps, lines connecting names. Then audio clips: his voice, her voice, both bragging about how naive she still is. The entire table froze. My father's hand trembled. His new wife whispered his name, panicking. You could feel decades of reputation collapsing 1 decibel at a time. I spoke softly, not cruelly. You sold everything that wasn't yours. Now it's mine. Again. The lawyer seated a few tables away, yes, mine, stood and handed papers confirming the injunction. The property re-entered litigation instantly. My father stuttered my name, pleading, threatening, then pleading again. His wife left the room in tears. I didn't shout. I finished my glass of water and said, "Happy birthday." In the months that followed, the fallout felt biblical. His business partners pulled away. Social circles shrank to none. He sold his car to pay legal fees. Eventually he moved towns, hiding under the weight of gossip he once created for others. My mother finally won her share of the property 6 months later, ours 1.9 million deposited directly into her account. It wasn't about the money. It was about reclaiming truth. She started a small home-based catering venture, and the day she handed me her first earned 500 rupees note, she cried, this time out of pride. We moved into a smaller place filled with light instead of secrets. Sometimes people ask why I didn't forgive. Forgiveness is mercy. Closure is justice. One you give, freely. The other you build carefully. My father apologized once, a short email dripping with excuses. He said he hoped I'd understand adulthood is complicated. I never replied. Because adulthood isn't an excuse for cruelty. It's a responsibility to unlearn it. I learned that the hard way. When I hear people talk about healing, I think of that staircase from my 13th birthday. The little girl holding a crown in silence, waiting for laughter that never came. Healing, for her, isn't pretending it didn't happen. It's standing tall now, owning a voice that can tell the story without trembling. At 26, I finally visited that old neighborhood. The house was gone, sold again, rebuilt. A different family lived there. The walls were painted white, clean, anonymous. I stood outside for a long time, not grieving anymore, just observing how time erases sins with paint and paperwork. Then I smiled because what truly matters never existed in those bricks. It existed here in the choice I made to stop inheriting pain. If you're listening to this and carrying wounds from people who called it love, remember this. The end of your childhood isn't your fault. It's the beginning of your strength. Pain teaches patterns. Awareness breaks them. You are not what they did. You are what you decide to do next. I learned that surviving isn't about hardening. It's about seeing through illusions calmly enough to rebuild yourself in truth. And truth, when spoken softly but firmly, is louder than any scream. The night I turned 13, my childhood quietly ended. But so did my fear. Everything since then has been rebirth disguised as resilience. If you felt my story, if it stirred something in you, please like and subscribe. Because somewhere in every silence, a new beginning is waiting to speak.